Hello, everyone. I hope you're having a fantastic quarter four training day. My name is Shelley Tucson Story, and I am the Secondary Social Studies ISS for the PAC East District. Today, I'm thrilled to be here at Edgren Middle High School in Misawa, Japan. I'm excited to share a sixth grade mini lesson on geographic reasoning with a special focus on human environment interaction, one of the 5 themes of geography. While writing this lesson, I tried to create something that could be modified and used in any of the other sixth grade social studies units. Let's get started. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to start with the do now. Tell the students the lesson objective and supporting question and ask them to write them in their notebook with their first response to the essential question. While you're doing this, you want to circulate around the room, ask for some volunteers that are willing to share, and you can call on those students first. Tell the other students in the room that they can add to their response if one of the speakers shares something they didn't write down. So this is a good way to start a little bit of student discourse in the classroom. Next, ask the students, how do humans interact with the environment around them? You want to engage them in a brief discussion, allowing them to share their thoughts and experiences. Then the next step after this would be to introduce the term human environment interaction. This is probably going to be a repetitive term at this juncture in the semester. If not, that's okay. Just go ahead and you'd have to maybe explain it in a little bit more detail how it's one of the 5 themes of geography. If it's a review, then you can just remind them of past lessons and how they used it, maybe with early humans or in the ancient river valley civilizations, how they modified and adjusted the Nile River and things like that. And the silt, rich silt, and all that stuff would be good. Then you want to go to the hook, which is presenting a scenario. And this is another little bit of a class discussion. Imagine you live in a desert. How might your daily life be different from someone living in a forest? What challenges and opportunities might you face? So, again, you're making these connections. You want to talk about things like climate, resources, lifestyle. I like to talk to the kids a little bit about clothing. That's how you adapt to your environment. You don't typically wear flip flops when there's snow, things like that, especially up here in Misawa. I usually emphasize the idea that people adapt to their environment and modify it to meet their needs. So you'll go through that little bit of a discussion. Then you'll move on to the task cards. There are 2 parts to the task cards. The task cards for part 1 is modern day examples of how people adapted and modified the environment. The second part is aligned with the social studies standard that deals with ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And specifically, I focused on ancient Rome. And the content standard 6.5a, geographic factors that influence the development of classical civilizations and their political structures. So you will split them up into pairs, groups of 3, and you'll make these task cards. And you might want several of each of the adaptation or modification. And then as you see, when you go down, you'll have the modern day examples. In the speaker notes of the slides for each of the modern day examples, I gave you some talking points. So you'll have those in there. And whether it is a modification or an adaptation. And in this slideshow, I just put them in order. If you want to turn this into a pear deck and make this an interactive class activity, I highly recommend that. That's pretty cool. You'll want to mix up the slides for that. Otherwise, they'll catch on pretty quickly that they're going in order. The one that I like for a lot of conversation is highways, because sometimes, depending on how you're talking about it, I think this one could fit under both. It's an adaptation because it's helping people move from place to place easier, right? Think about the Roman roads and stuff like that. But it's also a modification because you think about what they do to the earth to make these highways. So you'll go through these and the kids will do these task cards. This shouldn't take very long. And then you will move into part 2. Once again, you can put them in pairs, small groups, whatever is convenient for you. I gave you the adaptation and modification card again. And then here is where it fits into the classical civilizations unit. So we have the aqueducts. The kids love this stuff. They love the different Roman ships. And I put some historical facts underneath each one. The Roman cloak, the Roman sandal, housing. You could talk about the difference between poor housing and people that had more money, their housing, the upper class housing. Terrace farming, Roman roads, making shade and green space, mining and resource extraction. And then you get to this next part. This next part, so you'll go through step 1 would be to go through the modern day examples of the cards, class discussion. Step 2, you go through the task cards for the classical civilization, specifically focusing on ancient Rome. And then you could hang these up around the room and do a gallery walk. And this is just a suggestion. There's many things that you could do with this. You could just have a small think, pair, share. You could have them rotating around the room, have the cards rotating around the room rather, as opposed to the kids getting up and moving around the room. If you choose to do the gallery walk, of course, they move from one display to another with sticky notes, and they could ask questions, make comments, or put down facts, make connections between the modern and the ancient human environment interaction pieces. So they could compare the Roman road to the highways. On here, I also added a few vocabulary words that might be new or they might need to be reviewed for this mini activity. At the end, I gave you 2 formative assessments. The first one is a quick write, and you could do one or both. And the first one, this quick write, they're usually 2 minutes, but with 6th grade, the first time I give them about 3 or 4 minutes. And then the more often I do a quick write, which is an avid strategy, I lessen the time down to 2 to 3. High school is usually when I use 2 minutes for a quick write, but with the younger kids, I give them a little bit more think time. They will describe one way that their family or community adapted to the environment and one way that they see the environment being modified. And then lastly, a 3-2-1 exit ticket, 3 things they learned, 2 things they found interesting, and 1 question they have. And that is it in a nutshell. Hopefully I didn't go too fast for you. I kind of wanted to make this short and sweet and also something that you could modify and use in any unit. You could use this in early humans. You could use this in ancient river valley civilizations, of course, ancient Rome, ancient Greece. So there are a lot of opportunities for you to do that in this lesson plan. Have a great day. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'm Shelley Tucson Story, and I am the PAC East District ISS. For questions about Pear Deck, you could also reach out to your school ET, and you could turn this digital. Other than that, have a great day and happy training, everyone.